Welcome. Let's see. All right, I'm unmuted. Welcome back to What She Says Sports. All right, so happy Friday. Uh, the Cleveland Browns had training camp that wrapped up today, and I just want to come in, give some insights, and talk about some things that are obviously playing out. Right, I was on X for a bit of the morning. Great engagement over there talking about the numbers with Shedeur, this, that, and the other. Daniel Oyefuse reported some interesting info coming out of the Browns update about maybe a trade to the Jets and Justin Fields. So I just want to say happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Give me a minute. Let me fix something right fast. Hold on one second. All right. I have to make sure I have the right cameras. Okay, so all right. I feel a little better. I feel like I was standing too close to see myself. Okay, so it seems to me that the Cleveland Browns are making it very obvious as to their dealings with Shedeur. The Cleveland Browns do not value Shedeur's talent. That's obvious. And here's the thing: we talked about how they've been treating him from the welcome call. We talked about how when Shedeur was in college, from the Shrine Bowl, from that in January, what's his name? Andrew Berry, was pre-drafted with him, but we know Cleveland pre-draft with Shedeur extensively. I said it's actually fraudulent of Andrew Berry to be upset that they had to draft Shedeur when his whole purpose was pursuing Shedeur to draft him in the first round. You do not pre-draft with anybody extensively to pick them at number 144. We talked about when Shedeur got to Cleveland, just like the welcome call for him was different. It was not warm and fuzzy. It was not welcoming. It was not that they were excited. It had the same tone of the photo that you saw with what the green room, right? Remember in the green room they weren't excited about Shedeur. Well, that was the tone of the welcome call. Then when he got there on the ground, that was also the tone. It was the same tone. Then Kevin Stefanski tried to come back and clean it up a little bit. But I said, don't listen to what they say. Look at what they do. Balled out from rookie mini camp to mandatory camp. Won the little fake competition. Never was a competition to begin with, but he shined. Nobody got cut. We talked about how they're going to rotate all of the quarterbacks that they have because they rotated 5 in 2023 with Flacco. We talked about that season. Look to that season to see their playbook for 2025 in terms of what to do with quarterbacks. So we talked yesterday on how I said they're going to trade him. I'm like, they're going to trade him. I said, but it's how they go about it. Remember, Shedeur Sanders' phone number was given out to 2,000 people who did not need to know, right? Including who? Equipment managers. Who was Shedeur throwing to today? If you don't know, it's documented. They had Shedeur Sanders throwing reps to equipment managers. When he first got to his locker in Cleveland, he pulled aside his jersey toward the end. You could see the number 12. I said, I hope that means he's going to Jacksonville, right? I hope he's going to Jacksonville. Then the rumor circulates from Pac-Man Jones and his co-host Shapiro, don't know who that is, but that is a possibility. Shedeur could end up in Jacksonville, not right now, later. And I said, well, maybe that's the message that Cleveland is sending because it doesn't make any sense to not give him the number 2, right? So we go from seeing him get the 12. He's a 5th round pick. They treat him like a 4th string QB. He's the best, but they want to move into training camp with him as a 4th string. He got only 4 reps yesterday, and he was perfection on all 4 reps, right? And I said, yeah, they can't get to Shedeur. They can't break him. Like Russell Wilson said, they can't break him, right? They can't break. Russell Wilson was talking about himself. I see it with Shedeur. His media presence today, he worked that media. He worked the media. They thought they were going to throw him off or frazzle him with a few things. One is the horn blowing in the background, seemingly an accident. But don't think it was a big deal, you know, but for the media itself, they were trying to be like the horn. Of course, Tony Grossi, the guy that, and I believe that Tony Grossi and Mary Cabot are both plants. They are plants. And I'm going to tell you why they are plants designed to ask questions to throw Shedeur off. No other media asked the type of questions that they asked. Tony Grossi, you could barely hear him, but I could make it out. He asked Shedeur about the lack of reps. Shedeur, I would give him a 5 out of 5 on how he answered that question. He said he don't worry about that. He makes the most use of his time. He talks about how comfortable he is with their playbook. I picked up on that. I said, oh, he said, yeah, you know, you find other ways to stay engaged and get the reps that you need to get, you know, when you maximize it on the field. He said it. I'm getting very comfortable with the playbook. He said, I am very comfortable with the playbook. I'm like, I bet they didn't hear that. I bet they didn't hear that. Mary Cabot's questions, one of them was nonsensical. I'm like, did she ask him about being homesick, about being away from his family? I'm like, lady, he did not leave high school. He did not leave high school. He has been in college for 4 years, 2 in Mississippi and 2 in Colorado. He is from Dallas, Texas. He even said it in a very, very, very professional way. Yeah, you know, we just FaceTime. You know, we have FaceTime. I'm like, yeah, she don't know. She don't know that y'all have FaceTime. I said it. This lady is stuck in what era? Proof. She is stuck. She asked him about being homesick. He said, well, I have a home here. He said, so I'm good. Shedeur Sanders is a pro. We said at the Super Bowl event, he worked that room. He worked the media today. Then she asked him a question about the speeding tickets. I'm like, here we go again, talking about speeding tickets. I'm like, okay. And then I think I heard her ask him about Garden Valley, about the Fun Fest. So she asked him about the speeding tickets. She followed it up with Garden Valley, which was good. Because if you're going to bring out the negative, you need to bring out the positive. And I feel like somebody wrote her up and told her in her conversation, her disciplinary conversation, you can't just be negative and attack somebody. So she asked the band about the speeding tickets, which was ridiculous. And then she asked about Garden Valley, which was good. And then she asked him about being homesick. And I was like, lady, he said it, you know, we FaceTime. You know, he said Shiloh's the one that does normally to get in the house, to set it up. I live 3 doors down from him in Colorado. They didn't live together. So, you know, when she said they probably at their dad's house and he or living at their house and they should be barking out plays. Yeah, they don't live together, lady. They don't live together. So he aced it, right? None of the other people that asked questions, nobody asked any kind of question like that. Shedeur aced that. Shedeur is auditioning for another team. And he likely knows that, right? Whether it's Jacksonville now or later, I don't know. But I'm telling you, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski in 2 different ways, but working together, are putting it out there that he's available. They're putting it out there that he's available. I asked the poll, I said, who's the biggest fraud? Kevin Stefanski or Andrew Berry? The reason I asked the question is because they both said it in their post-draft conversations. We pre-draft wished Shedeur extensively. So you know he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. So you know he was the first round projection. You know you were pursuing him to be your franchise QB until your boss came out and said on about March 31st, yeah, you know, we still got Deshaun Watson, which, by the way, is a non-factor because look at how much they paid Mason Graham. Okay, giving a non-QB first round money, giving a non-QB QB1 money, basically, right? Basically. So you had the money. In fact, Cleveland was asked early on in the process of the draft process, why are you shopping for a QB? It's documented. They said they have the money. So Andrew Berry said after the draft, his value was too high for the price of the draft. In other words, he's not worth what we got him for. Well, he's not worth what he would have been at number 2. So we backed off of him because we still have Deshaun's contract. But we get him at 144. You're not excited. You don't give him his jersey number. Well, if you got a bargain, wouldn't you be happy? We talked about that. So Andrew Berry decided to take his press conference time to talk about the speeding tickets. This is after Stefanski and Berry both tried to move away from Quinshon Judkins' situation, but the media wouldn't let him move. I'm like, how can you say you want to talk about only the good things, that the guys do. But Andrew Berry doesn't say anything about Shedeur's Fun Fest. He talks about the tickets. It's known that Andrew Berry is flexible when it comes to trading, when it comes, whether it's in the draft or all year round. Kevin Stefanski is in charge of the reps. It's obvious what they're doing with the reps. And today, I believe it was Daniel Oyefuse, when he reported today, he broke it down about how the reps went. He broke it down that Shedeur only worked, he was last on the list, right? He was last on the list, and he was basically like, he didn't get much, and he worked out, was throwing the ball to the equipment managers. I said, wait a minute, the same equipment managers that Shedeur Sanders' phone number was sent out to? I'm like, that's very interesting. I'm like, I find that to be very interesting, right? So again, the 12 jersey, Jacksonville, the rumor about Jacksonville, positioning Shedeur that he's not valuable to us, right? That he's available. He's a 4-string. It shows you who they're developing. They're developing Pickett, Flacco, and Gabriel. This is it right here on the screen, if you can see. This is from Daniel Oyefuse. This is the young man that replaced Mary Cabot on the ground in Cleveland. So what she's doing, the reporting, she's a reporter there. But he was the person that started to take over toward the end of mandatory camp. It said the Browns just finished a whirlwind session of 11s, with each QB getting about 3 to 4 plays. So you see, each QB got 3 to 4 plays today. See, yesterday, think about, we looked at that list, and I still have it. We're going to look at it. Shedeur had the least amount of reps, 4. So today, they come back with each QB got 3 to 4 plays, and they just rotated. And this is how the rotation went. Flacco with the 1s, Pickett with the 2s, Flacco with the 1s, Pickett with the 2s, Gabriel with the 1s, Shedeur with the 3s. So yesterday, he only had 4 reps. Now they all have to come to where he is. See, you can't say it's a quarterback competition and he only gets 4 reps and everybody else gets 10 or 11 or 8, and he only gets 4. So today, it looks like a little cleaning up, and maybe because it was open to the public. Everybody got the same. So the public is out there and can't say, well, he got more than him, you see? So today, they know what they're doing. This proves that they know what they're doing. They're not developing Shedeur. They're not developing Shedeur at all. Now, Shedeur said he's comfortable with the playbook. We know Shedeur is that guy. We know his football IQ is off the charts. We know they can't break him as a person. We know they can't hold him back. He's going to continue to develop him. The question is, if you said his value was too high for the first round, and you got this QB1 in the 4th round, whose face are you playing in? A 5th round, whose face are you playing in? Or are you doing this as a stunt? This being giving Flacco and Pickett and Gabriel all of the reps, because you know Shedeur don't need a lot to go. He just got to learn the playbook and how y'all want him to be a QB. Or because you know what you're going to do is you believe you know who's going to fail. You're going to put him out there and you're going to want him to win a Super Bowl for you for $4 million. And if it turns out to be that scenario, that's called fraud. You're intentionally devaluing an employee so you can pay them less money. That's illegal. So if that's the route that they're going with this stunt, this clown show of making Shedeur the least developed QB, so 1, he can fail, or 2, you can put him out there instead of for $40 million, you can capture your lightning in a bottle for $4 million. See, Andrew Berry prides himself on getting players for pennies on the dollar. He prides himself for getting players that are not good and trying to put them in the number 1 spot. They did the same thing to DTR. I happened to watch the 2023 season. Now, explain this, and this is what I mean. I paid Deshaun Watson $230 million. I don't want him to ball out. I don't want him to ball out at all. So I let Deshaun Watson start the 2023 season, win 2 games back to back. One was Cincinnati. I forget who the other one was. It was they were back-to-back wins. They annihilated Cincinnati. You would think Deshaun is the starter. He won 2-0 keep going. No, they took DTR, who was a 5th round QB. They took him, threw him to the Wolves against the Baltimore Ravens after Deshaun Watson went 2-0. Does that make any sense? Shedeur's best bet is to get traded before the season. It is. It's his best bet to get the hell out of Cleveland. That's really the best bet. But what we saw today from Shedeur, his poise, he's unflappable. He's not fazed by them. The questions, they can't get to him. There's nothing they could do. He just happy to be there. What did he say? There are people who want to be in this position. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. He said, he knows who he is, right? And he proves he's not annoyed by Mary Cabot. In fact, Mary Cabot's questions asking him if he's homesick, knowing he'd been away from college, knowing he'd been away from home for at least 4 years, tells you she's not with it. She's not the one. They need to send somebody else out there who's going to ask the real question, because asking a pro player who's been in college for 4 years and away from home for 4 years if he's homesick is insanity. In high school, during COVID, they traveled to Mississippi. So I don't know. They have away games. I don't know why he will be homesick. I don't think that's the question you should be asking. But that's who she is, and they keep letting her show up. At least today, he proved, in my opinion, that he's not fazed by her questions. He's not fazed by her trying to rattle. But I promise you, Grossi and Cabot are plants to ask him questions to throw him off. Nobody else asked those kind of questions. So we see right here, looking at Sanders with the 3s, right? He didn't even get the opportunities with the 1s or the 2s, just the 3s. So what does that tell you? Once again, they have to be mindful of the appearance of holding Shedeur back. So we're going to have to find a different way to do it. We gave him 4 reps yesterday. People complained about that. That's not right. Even the big box channel said that's their fault if they don't develop him. They're not developing him. So what happens? So today they come back and everybody get the same 4 reps, but they rotate with the 1s and the 2s based on how they value you. Cleveland is making it known we're not interested in Shedeur. What should happen is somebody should pick up the phone and say, hey, let me talk to you about a trade. That's what should happen. That's what should happen. And if they keep him for the season, that's what's going to happen in the draft. They're going to trade away some people and get him, etc., before, so they can position themselves. I think they're looking at Shedeur as a commodity that other teams want. We don't want him, but he's good. But we don't want it, because they never said he wasn't bad. They said his value wasn't good. It was too high for the first round, but they weren't happy when they got him. And now when they have him, he's out on display. He balling out, but they holding him back. They're like, people are looking at this going, so y'all don't want him. That's the plan. We want somebody to pick up and trade for him. If somebody could trade for him, wouldn't they have already picked him up in the draft? Right? So you're not doing yourself any favors by holding him back to QB4 and saying we want somebody else to get it. Because that's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. Somebody is going to pick up the phone and say to Andrew Barrett, hey, we going to go ahead on and take Shedeur from y'all, and we're going to send you XYZ. He's not going to have a choice. He's not going to have a choice. His boss, the owner, will already have talked to another owner. Let's just throw Dallas in there for a minute. Let's just say, since Jerry Jones is throwing Dak under the bus like we talked about, has not signed Micah contract, told Shedeur we're going to have to do a lot of trading. Let's say that happens, and they make a play for Shedeur. You think Jerry Jones, who's also the GM, the owner and GM, is going to call Andrew Barry? No. He's going to call Haslam and probably the management council, and they're going to talk about it first. And they're going to be like, all right, is this still in play with what we're trying to do? And they're going to say, yeah. And that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. Because Andrew Barry, in my opinion, is setting himself up to be fired. Because if I trade away Shedeur and we're not good, he going to catch that heat, right? He going to catch it. But then if I keep Shedeur and I let him sit on the bench and we're not good, he's going to catch that heat. And then if I keep Shedeur and everybody else fail, and then we got to push Shedeur in and we still lose the season like the Falcons did with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr., I can promise you he's going to catch that heat, because that's what happened here in Atlanta. It wasn't enough time for Michael Penix Jr. it wasn't enough games left on the schedule for him to turn it around. But immediately after the failure, they named him the starter. So speaking of starters, the head coach, who I don't even know why he still has a job, is on the record saying that Russell Wilson is the definitive confirmed starter for the New York Giants. There is no QB competition. He's not hosting one. He's not entertaining one. Russell Wilson is the starter. That is historic. Those are words. We'll see if it happens. So in other words, he's shutting it down. All of the Jacksons are competing with Russ for QB1. He's like, we're not having a competition. And they even said, unlike Cleveland, they're not having a competition in Cleveland either. How is this a competition? Shedeur with the threes and everybody else with the ones and the twos. It's blatant. It's blatant, letting people know he's not our future. He's not our present. We're not developing him. We have no plan for him. We have no intentions for him. Let's see if they put this QB out here against Baltimore. Then it'll tell you. So, Barry and Stefanski are playing it. They're showing you their hand. These reps, this is not Barry's doing. This is Stefanski's doing. The negative comments, to talking about the speeding tickets, to not being happy, to saying his skill set is not valuable enough to pay him first round money, but yet we pissed off that we got him in the 5th round. It doesn't make sense. It makes Andrew Barry guilty. That's what it makes. It makes Andrew Barry guilty of fraud. You know why? Think about it. He pre-drafted him extensively before the Kevin Stefanski part came to it. He was the one that went on the record. They have money to shop. He was the one that said, we don't have a problem with Coach Prime. He was the one that asked Shadeur, along with the other teams, the Titans, the Giants, and the Browns, asked Shadeur not to play in the Shrine Bowl. He was the one that started meeting with Shadeur and met with him extensively publicly from the Shrine Bowl and let the media know about it, but kept Dylan secret. Still went back to see you 30 days before the draft, even after the owner came out and said, we can't do it. We gonna have to, we got to shine. That's it. Andrew Barry was the one meeting with Coach Prime, Travis Hunter, and Shadeur. If your boss says y'all have the shine, why would you go back to see you? Y'all ain't friends. Y'all are not friends. He was reeling him in, knowing he was going to drop him like a bad habit. What did Kevin Stefanski say on draft day? What did he say? He said, I told you God works in mysterious ways. But now he's the one making sure he not getting developed. So while he told him that because when the owner pivoted away from Shadeur publicly, they likely started to pivot away and started meeting with Dylan. And then Kevin Stefanski might have emailed or text Shadeur and just said, yeah, you know, I heard it's not going to work out, but God works in mysterious ways, not expecting it to. Or did he? Did he expect to get him as an undrafted free agent, pay him pennies on the dollar, knowing that the guys in front of him aren't good, and he take them to a Super Bowl for $3 million over 4 years? So was he reeled in and cut from a fishing line like bait because they wanted to devalue him, pay him less money to do all of the work? That's illegal. Or did they cut bait thinking they were done with him, like a bad Tinder date? I'm done with you. And then I go to the mall and then you are staring me in my face. And I gotta draft you. That's why they were upset. I go with cut him loose like a bad Tinder date. Wasn't expecting anything else, but I gotta get you. And I have to expend 2 resources in the same round to get you. If he was gonna go undrafted free agent, he could have went to any other team. He probably was gonna go Mr. Irrelevant to send the message that they were sending all night. You ain't nobody. We don't value you. So if you don't value Shedeur in Cleveland, if you're not developing Shedeur in Cleveland, if you pre-drafted him extensively and you knew Shedeur was going to be your QB2 until your boss say y'all ain't got enough money after you said you have enough money, why you don't put him on waivers? Or is that what throwing to the equipment managers is about? You already gave you the number 12. Travis wears the number 12, drafted Travis in your spot. Next thing you know, Shedeur going to Jacksonville. And now After Shedeur Sanders' phone number was sent out to 2,000 people who did not need to know, including equipment managers, Shedeur Sanders on this day is throwing to equipment managers. And it even came up in the interview. So it's verified. They had him throwing to equipment managers. I wonder if those two equipment managers, or the equipment managers he was throwing to, they likely got his phone number with a waiver wire attached, which means we're going to cut you. Tell me it's the coincidence between him throwing to equipment managers. He could be throwing to anybody. Why he not throwing to the coach? Why he not throwing to the water boy? Why he throwing to the equipment managers? The same equipment managers that got his phone number along with a waiver wire attached. Are they perhaps continuing on the same plot that they had hatched before the draft, which made his phone number to go out to 2,000 people, and they lied about who sent it? The NFL sent the number. The connection to the New York Giants, another team that asked Shedeur not to work out in the Shrine Bowl, is where the prankster is connected to. Tennessee is the only team of the three, the Browns, the Giants, and the Titans, all met with Shedeur at the Shrine Bowl. Tennessee, the coach said he's very mature. They were impressed with Shedeur. Never had a negative word about it. But then they didn't want to get Cam. So were they serious about Shedeur? The more Cleveland plays in Shedeur's face publicly, the more the story comes together. At this point, whoever got a subpoena list going, please subpoena Andrew Berry. Please subpoena Andrew Berry. His communication already be within the discovery cycle that has been requested. He pre-draft with Shedeur extensively, and he has public disdain for Shedeur after getting him for only $4 million after he said the value is too high. Please subpoena Andrew Berry. Please subpoena Andrew Berry, because there's some fraud there. There's some fraud there. I asked, who is the biggest fraud? The person who's in charge of these ridiculous reps, Stefanski, or Andrew Berry, who asked people not to ask questions, asked the media not to ask questions about Quinshon Judkins, but was happy to talk about speeding tickets after he got Shedeur himself out the 5th round, after he pre-drafted extensively with him to be their franchise QB. So he don't know why he got the speeding ticket. It's called damages. It's called damages. That's what happened when you bully people, when you embarrass them, when you publicly humiliate them, when you lure them in somewhere, you devalue them, you make them think, hey, I'm going to hire you. But then in front of everybody, 7.3 million people, you cut bait like a fish. And then when they get to your organization, you act like you don't know them. That's fraud. That's fraud. So Shedeur getting praises from everybody. Shedeur getting praises from everybody. I think people were looking at how he handled himself with such poise, such grace, such unflappable. He was unflappable. He wasn't fazed by anything other than that damn horn going off in the background. But he wasn't fazed by anything. That's what people took away from today. I said, this young man is auditioning from another team. Somebody, they're going to get to a point. They're going to get to this point. And I'm telling you, they're going to get to this point. Somebody going to call there, and it's going to be done. It's not going to be, what do you want? It's going to be, we're getting Shedeur. Now, how do we get there from where we are right now? Having a draft where all 32 teams got his phone number, knew he's going to be put on waivers. He now throw it to the equipment managers that got his phone numbers and knew he was going to be put on waivers, right? How do we get from nobody can draft him? There's a moratorium on Shedeur. He's taken off the board because he's entitled. He ends up in Cleveland, even though he wasn't on the board. So Cleveland had to get him. They weren't happy about it. They were holding him back in OTAs to mandatory minicamp. They're still holding him back. They're telling everybody that can see and can comprehend that he's not our solution now. He's not our priority now. He's not our solution in the future. So he will not be there. And today he's throwing with the equipment managers who received his phone number along with a waiver wire. They're telling everybody, Shedeur is not going to be here. He's not. I'm like, are you doing all of this to try to piss him off? Because it ain't working. It's just like in the draft. They kept saying things. They kept saying things to try to upset him. And people thought that was going to be the end of it. They thought it was just going to be chatter. No. What did you see in the draft? You saw a heinous, evil plot carried out that showed you they were willing to lock the best QB in the draft out the first round, publicly humiliate him by letting him free fall from the first round all the way to the bottom till the president of the United States popped up and the prank was exposed. So if we're there right now, we're back on that cycle because I don't expect the president of the United States to intervene this time. I'm still acting like you're not valuable. We don't want you. You're not our present. We're not developing you. You're not our future. So they're back on the same cycle of humiliation, of devaluing, discriminating. That's why today everybody got the same 3 to 4 reps. Because yesterday was discriminatory. You can't say it's the competition and you hold him back and give him the fewest amount of reps. So they fixed that today. They fixed that today. But tomorrow, they're going to continue to hold him back unless somebody intervenes. And last time it was a president, I saw God. Not in the president. I saw God kick that door in. That's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. Because these people will not cut him. If they put him on waiver wires, like they said, we're going to go right back to the draft of what happened. So they're going to have to find another way to do it. Because if they put him on waiver wires after he was throwing to the equipment manager and the equipment manager got his phone number along with a waiver wire, what does that tell you? Collusion. And it continues. So it moved outside the draft and it moved to Cleveland. That's why I asked you, who's the biggest fraud? Andrew Berry or Kevin Stefanski? I put out a poll. I asked the poll on X. People said Berry, and I happen to agree because that's where the wooing of Shedeur was public, and it happened before the head coach got to the scenario. So that's what it is. So Andrew Berry doesn't like Shedeur there because he's guilty. He's guilty of reeling him in. He's guilty of luring him somewhere that he was never intending to make him a second, the number 2 pick. Shedeur has text messages. There was a reason why he felt comfortable saying he plays college football 25 with the Browns. He was sitting right there in Vegas. But by the time he got to the podcast on the Rush podcast, right, the night or two before the draft, it was a reason why when he was asked about his wide receiver cornerback pairings or whatever, wide receiver quarterback pairings, it was a reason why it was the Saints in Pittsburgh, because somewhere between the Shrine Bowl and the Rush podcast, Cleveland had pivoted away. And that's when Kevin Stefanski sends the text or makes the call. God works in mysterious ways. Draft day, I told you God works in mysterious ways. There's a lot that has happened. There's a lot that needs to be looked into. Andrew Berry should be subpoenaed. He is the center of all of this. Whether they forced him to do it or he did it voluntarily, he's the culprit. He's the one. He is the one that decided whether it was his job description or he wanted to do it to lure Shedeur in. He's the one that went back to see you after his boss said it. We still got the shine and met with Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, and Coach Prime. He's the one. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens on day 4 when it's not public. Today was public. I don't believe tomorrow is public. I don't believe tomorrow is public. So if they go back to beyond closed doors, the question is, are they going to go back to the same type of system like right here? This is from today as well. This is also from today. So these are the numbers where you saw the rotation, 4 of 11. Flacco is just not doing well. I feel like Flacco trying to get the hell out of Cleveland. His numbers yesterday were abysmal. Today, they're abysmal. Shedeur was 5 of 8. Pickett, 2 of 6. And Gabriel, 4 of 8. So we went from 11 to 8. So Sanders and Gabriel have the same. And then we have 6 and 11 with Flacco taking most of the reps. So people have already pointed out that Pickett is already struggling, but that's not a surprise. That means everything is going to hinge on Flacco. That's what that means. Everything is going to hinge on him. And they do 7 on 7s. The other numbers I think were from 11 on 11s. So, they're doing what they want to do. And they're showing people. They know how this game works. They're showing people that Shedeur is not the priority this year, and he's not our solution next year. So they put this out, and as we're talking about Shedeur, day 3 of Brown's training camp is in the books, right? So they're done for today. Here's how all 4 QBs perform in team drills. So it says, and I ask the question, does it really matter when you have the proven best QB on the team throwing to equipment managers? Valid question, right? Does all of this really matter? If you're showing everybody with the reps, he gets the least amount. He's not your option. It's Flacco, Pickett. You can alternate those two, and then it's Dillon. It doesn't matter. If you have Shedeur Sanders, the best QB in the draft, throwing to equipment managers, does any of this matter? Yes or no? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. So everybody was just happy about how Shedeur handled himself. That truly was the takeaway from today. Other than the fact where Shedeur was concerned, it wasn't the performance, because we know he's good. He's proven that already. He's proven to be the best. We know he's getting the fewest amounts of reps, right? So what we know here is that he's good. That's what we walked away with. They can't break him. He's good. That's it. That's day 3. Shedeur Sanders is not fazed by them. Remember, he wasn't comfortable at first. That's done. He's no longer fazed by them. He's at the point that God prepared him for. To get to this point, not be uncomfortable, not let your awareness wane so that you're speeding, because you're still feeling the after effects of the discrimination in the draft, because that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. I showed y'all. How do you have that top 10 list, right? How does Jackson Dart get from way at the bottom, outside the top 5, to the number 2 pick over the number 1 overall pick? Make that make sense. Discrimination. Somebody asked me, we talked about the Giants. I said, well, it's going to be historic if Russell Wilson is their quarterback for the majority of the season as a QB1, because, this will be a first for them. And then the person responded and said, well, I thought that our problem was they don't draft Black quarterbacks. So they were adding to the situation. We talked about them never having, regardless if you trade or draft a Black starting quarterback, they were adding to the conversation to say, I don't think they draft Black quarterbacks, which means they were never going to draft Shedeur Sanders. So I had looked into that. I'm like, well, I don't doubt any of it. I don't doubt any of it. So that would make Russ's QB1 playing the majority of the season as the starter historic. Remember, the Giants were the last organization to have a Black quarterback, period. Now they seem to be about to be on the cusp of having their first Black starting quarterback in 2025. So we're proud of Shedeur today. I told y'all they got the right one when they got Russ, because Russ said it. They can't break me. And we see they have really, really tried. So let's see if they're done trying to break him, or if what Daboll, who should not have a job, is saying it's just more lip service. Something to pay attention to. You had a reporter about to cry because they made Russ the starter and they refused to consider a competition and let Jackson Dart compete for it. I'm like, so you didn't see that Jackson Dart wasn't even a top 5 QB. It's just like Caitlin Clark. They just want somebody that they want, regardless of how they perform. And that's just total insanity. But that's what some of the media, the big box media, that's what a few of them are actually advocating for. Regardless of Jackson Dart not being good and Russ being better, we just want it to be Jackson Dart. People like that should be fired off of any show that's out there, because football in the NFL is a competitive sport, and y'all have sold the fans competition. So now you're going to need to compete and stop colluding. That's what you're going to need to do for your preference, because that's what they do. All right. So congratulations to Shedeur. He did well. We'll keep an eye on Russ and see how that really, really goes, because right now I believe it's lip service. People say anything. I already told you don't listen to nothing they say in Cleveland. I want you to look at how they treat Shedeur. They had him throwing to equipment managers. He's getting the fewest amount of reps unless it's open to the public. Then they all gonna get about the same. But if you're throwing to the equipment managers, you're not their future. They're not taking you seriously, and they letting everybody else know. And that's the part. That's the part. All right, so we're gonna get out of here. We have members only at members live stream. I'm excited because it's Friday. We have members live stream at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to my new members. I just saw somebody say they became a member. Awesome. Thank you. We got another member today. So make sure you have your notifications on and you join us. Miss anyway, hopefully you get the notification. Let me know if you do, or if you don't, let me know. Jam, how you doing? Miss Pamela, hey, how you doing? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Got my headphones in working. And okay, all right. It said, hey, Amber. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. Consider joining us. We have a great community. We have a great podcast community. We meet every Friday at 6 p.m. like we're getting ready to do. Hey, Robert Washington, how you doing? Y'all welcome the newest member. Miss Anyway decided to become a member. Freeman Harris became a member. BJ Riggs, all within the last few days. So thank y'all so much. Thank you. I don't have an X account. I feel I will be overwhelmed over there. I don't think so. I think what it is with X, you have to, like, I don't follow a lot of, like, I don't just follow everything. I curated my list. I don't really see anything outside of what I've selected. And meaning football or basketball, I don't really see anything else other than that. I think when you just start following this, that, and the other, or just, they present certain people for you to follow. I think when you start following that, you just get caught up in their algorithm. But just try it and see what happens. We love to have y'all on X. I'm on Threads too, but I think I'm on X a lot. I think X is second to YouTube for me. And it's a great way to engage and just talk about things and add your insight. So what's up? What she said, I've been waiting for you to come on all day. All these trap questions at the press conference. He was smooth as velvet. I'm telling y'all, he was smooth as velvet. Shedeur, that's all I cared about today. When I heard, like, is that Mary Cabot asking him? Because, I'm listening to voices. You can't see the people when they ask the questions. I'm listening and I'm asking. I'm like, did she just ask him if he was homesick? One question Shedeur was asked. He talked about, I guess they were talking about pressure or him, just, I don't know, dealing with all of the not getting reps. And he said, I came from Jackson. He said, I came from HBCU to a Power 5. He said, I'm prepared for anything. I was like, the Jackson State people gonna be happy to hear that. They doing their thing right now too. Jackson State, they doing their thing. They doing well. In my opinion, Coach TC Taylor picked up the playbook from Coach Prime. They still have Under Armour on deck with their media. A lot of things are still in place, and Coach TC Taylor seems to be more publicly facing and engaging. I don't think he seemed to be like a quiet person, but he's out there front and center, and they seem to be doing their thing. And I think they're gonna get back to greatness this year. But Shedeur Sanders had no problem with saying it. He's like, I went from an HBCU to a Power 5. I'm prepared for anything. I can adapt to anything. That's what that means, right? That's exactly what that means. And I love the way he answered the questions. He didn't even have to think about it. He worked them today. They thought they were going to work him. Yes, Kevin and Grossi are plants. He worked them today. He worked them like we saw him work that room on Super Bowl weekend. Sure did. That they call him grown for a reason, and that's why. Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. He intercepted Mary Kay like speeding yawn. Right, right, right. Like that was just it was just nothing to it. It was no, it's like they wanted it to have some kind of sting. I'm like, y'all dealing with two domestic violence cases. This speeding ticket is just trivial and proves you need to be better prepared at asking questions and really engaging your audience because your audience probably has speeding tickets. Who hasn't had a speeding ticket? And even if you haven't, the people that you know have speeding tickets are doing just fine because it happens. But it proves that his awareness, his kryptonite was waning. Now that was foul, throwing to a ball boy. Yep, he was throwing to equipment managers today. Sure was. He worked them. Yep, Lenny. He worked the media today. I'm like, they can't get him. And that's all I care as a fan. That's all I care about. That means whatever they say, just gonna roll off his back. It's no big deal. It's no question. To in other words, you can't antagonize him like they were trying to do. Remember when Mary Cabot asked Flacco, "Well, is Shedeur's celebrity gonna be a problem?" I'm like, why would you ask Flacco that? That kind of question, they have reined her in, bringing Daniel Oyefuse in, pushing her to the side. Yet she's still out there asking if he homesick after being in college for 4 years. And he said it. Well, we FaceTime. We have FaceTime. I was like, she don't know. If she's showing that she's not modern in her thinking, that's what she's showing. Now, Grossi asking about the lack of reps. Shedeur, beautiful, beautiful. Not worried about it. When he said, I'm getting comfortable or I am comfortable with the playlist, either one, I'm getting comfortable. I'll take that one. I'm getting comfortable with the playlist. That means watch out. There's a team out there. I told y'all somebody gonna have to go behind the scenes. They're gonna have to clear with the other owners because they do what? They are incestuously close. They do everything together to get him out of there. And Cleveland is not gonna have a choice in the matter. And I think it's gonna be sooner than y'all realize. And I will not look back at Cleveland. I will wish I gave a salute to Daniel Oyefuse today. Because if I don't see him no more and Shadeur gone, I'm not looking back at Cleveland because this is horrible. This is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. It's just a continuation of the draft, and they take pride in it. I'm like, y'all are so. They said they were gonna get scammed out of their picks. They didn't get scammed out of their picks. They played themselves. They could have had Travis and Shedeur. Let that sink in. Mary Kay is out of her mind. If she asks about Deanna Shiloh again, I'll scream. That's just crazy. Yes, you can join X. It's fine and follow me first. It's fun. It's fun. Like I said, just block out the noise. I don't follow everybody. I handpick. It's a lot of people, buff people. They have buff in their title. Mine just says what she says, sports. But a lot of people, when you respond to somebody, what the algorithm does is, oh, you're not following this person. You want to follow them. I'll wait and see first. Let me see how your content go. Because if it's a little crazy, I might just retweet what you have every now and then selectively. But most of the buff people are really good. I don't really follow any Cleveland people. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't really follow Cleveland people. I hashtag dog pound. I hashtag Shedeur Sanders. When it's the buffs, hashtag Coach Prime, Skull Buffs. That's how I do it. I follow people who comment on these things, see how they're doing, evaluate their content, and then I follow. And if you follow me back, I'm gonna follow you. If your content is good, I'm gonna follow you. And then it normally works out from there. So you got to evaluate these people on X. And I don't follow any type of non-sports content on X. On Threads, I follow everything. But on X, no. That's how you get roped up in some of that madness they got going on over there. Mary Kay is exhausted. Yeah, she was just I like Shedeur. Yeah, we have FaceTime, and he was really nice about it. He was really nice about it. Let me say, I knew you was gonna mention how comfortable he mentioned with that playbook. I said to myself, what she said gonna mention that? Yeah, because that's what my ears hear certain things. I don't care about all this foolishness. I see what y'all doing. I see you, Andrew. I see you, Kevin, whatever. Somebody gonna call you up and they gonna tell you what to do because that's what you deserve. You don't have no choices around here. You walking around here like you're making all these choices to hold him back. That's what they told you to do. That's what they told you to do. And you dumb enough to do it. So, okay. So when I heard him say, I'm getting comfortable with the playbook, he was trying to about his workout. What does he do? Recovery process, post training camp days. He said he get that iPad and he look at them plays. What did we see on the sideline in Colorado? They were always huddled up looking at them plays on that iPad. See, these people don't know. Shedeur been doing that since Jackson State. Not necessarily hovering up looking at the iPad on the sideline, but for sure, after practice, everybody knows he watches what took place. He also said he's studying the defense. When I don't get reps, I'm studying the defense. Cleveland is out of their sick, twisted mind. This young man, Jada Daniels, the better. A matchup between Daniels and Pat Mahomes for sure. That's all I'm going to say. And they don't want that. But they didn't want Jalen Milroe, who's QB comps to who? Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson. They didn't want that either. So it wasn't that his value was too low because he's a pocket passer. They didn't want Milroe, and he's a damn dual threat. They don't want black quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders. Now, elite first round black QBs that can start, which is why they're trying to change the rules to the starting. QB1 means you play a majority of the season. They trying to get away from that. They trying to give 9 QBs QB money. They trying to take the QB role off the pedestal because they can only hold back elite starting QBs so many times in the draft before people notice they are being racist. But I'm already on to them. Somebody need to subpoena Andrew Berry, and I'm dead ass serious. You're going to get whatever you want from right there. I'm nosy, corner of my sister. I want to see what they saying. Happy belated birthday, corner of my sister. All right, we got a birthday. Grand Rising. Hey, Crowley, how you doing? How you doing? Robert Washington. Tina, how you doing, Tina? It said they lied. I don't believe he was ever having issues with the playbook. Now, Shedeur reads defense that you can tell the way he plays. I'm like, how is he having issues with the playbook and he the best one out there? They said his problem was drifting back out the pocket. I'm like, the best drift back without the pocket so they don't get sacked. They had nothing on him. They look for things. Asking him, is he homesick? Why would you ask somebody who's been away from school? What kind of question is that? That's the best you could come up with? That's just wasting people's time. That's not why people pay you money to go get insights from training camp, to ask if somebody who been to 2 different universities in 2 different states and played travel ball is homesick. It just proves she's not modern in her thinking. She don't know they have FaceTime. Greetings from the land. How you doing, Selmo in Cleveland, Robert Washington? So we got our Cleveland folks in the house. Salute, Gigi. How you doing? How you doing? Thank you for hanging out with us. Buckeye probably said he was asked about them, but his tone was way more stern with that than Quinshon punching somebody in the face. That's what people were saying on X. X be letting them have it. They were like, so you want to ask him under the post where they talking about these speeding tickets or these, I guess they taking snippets of the interview. It's 15 minutes long, his part on YouTube, but of course it's on X, circulated by several. And under those clips where they asked about the speeding ticket, people were asking, so you're not concerned about the 2 players you have, domestic violence charges, assaulting women in the face, this, that, and the other, you asking about speeding tickets. And I thought it was interesting that Stefanski and Andrew said they didn't even want to talk about the whole speeding ticket thing, but they didn't, they want to focus on the good. Stefanski said, we want to focus on the good that our players do in the community. But you asking about speeding tickets. Those 2 are plants. They are plants. They don't care about DV charges. If you're a quarterback, they don't. If you're a quarterback, they don't. That proves to you what I said. You'll protect a black player that's a non-QB. Because why? His guarantees going to get stripped. It's going to benefit you to take him back. It's not going to benefit him. He probably better off going to Canada to play for a few years and get his stock up and get that behind him, and then not have to deal with his guarantees being stripped or his salary being reduced, because that's what they do. Their bonuses. We read the contract. If they breathe wrong, they lose money. Russell Wilson lost 81 million in guarantees because they played seemingly his agent. So they don't want to do away with Quinshon Judkins. They want his talent. But if he was it shows you, look at how they treated Shedeur behind a speeding ticket, and look at how they're protecting Quinshon's situation with domestic violence. Shedeur is a quarterback. People say, oh, they're held to a different standard. That's not fair. Ben Roethlisberger settled SA situations. So it's not about being held to a different standard. They make it harder for Black quarterbacks to get to the level and maintain and thrive at that level. That's why the fewest amount of quarterbacks, which are Black overall, have risen to the majority of the QB1 spots, because they make it so hard for them coming out of college. Then in the NFL, they make it extremely difficult. So if you make it, you gonna win. And that's why the majority of the starting Black quarterbacks are successful. They made it so hard for them, but yet they still overcame it. That's like Black people. They didn't even want us to read. And look at where we are. Black women are the most educated demographic in this country. In this country. It's the same thing. They keep putting hurdles and these guys keep crossing them. Shedeur, same thing. He did well today. Coach Prime should be very proud of him, because he trained him well. And God definitely prepared him. I need you to be good, because this is going to happen again. And I want you to ace it every single time, so that your time in Cleveland is joyful to you, that they don't take away your joy. That's what God prepared him for. And he's raving reviews. That's all people are talking about, how well he did, how admirable his poise was today. I totally agree. I totally agree. They care about embarrassing Shedeur. That's it. Salute, Sarah. How you doing? Gigi said, yes, exactly. He knows his mission. Yes, Robert. He knows his mission. That's what I'm happy about. I'm like, that's what I'm happy about. He gets it. He sees, and that's going to make his faith stronger, because now he sees why God was preparing him to deal with these people, because they're going to hold on to him and try to make his life miserable. So he going to take it. He going to stay there until God opened that door. See, God prepared him to stay there until God opens that door, and to have joy. It's called, dear God, please make me wait well while I'm waiting on you. So he'll be able to enjoy his life and brush these people off until God opened that door. That's what it is. And you can see it, and people who know that's how it works are very proud of Shedeur. He's not just able to maintain in a toxic environment and where people are holding him back, because that's hard to deal with, especially at his young age. He's able to thrive in it. And that's what I love about it. That's what I love about it. Grown by actions and conversations. That's it. Yeah, Andrew Barry missed anyway. He not it. He not it. Digging for miscellaneous info. It said he's not going to let them see him sweat. Fact. I love how he laughed. He was genuinely he was genuinely laughing at some of the things, like the honking horn and stuff like that. He was comfortable. That's what we want to see. And I love the fact that he's not willing to shrink himself or his experiences. Well, I went to HBCU and a Power 5, so I'm good at any environment. That's right. Let them know. I think that was why they hated on him, because after that TCU game, remember him and Travis were over there and they were interviewing them and they were talking about it. And Shedeur was like, they said HBCU players they said HBCU students couldn't do it. HBCU players couldn't do it. They hated that. They hated that. And believe me, they hated to hear it today. They hated that. And that's why I like Shedeur. He's like, I can be me. And that's what it is. When you damned if you do, damned if you don't, be yourself. Do not shrink yourself. And I'm so proud of him. He's not shrinking himself. He make a touchdown. We gonna see it. I don't know who team is gonna be on, but we gonna see it. We gonna see it. All right, I gotta get out of here and get ready for our 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time podcast. I wanted to come on here and just give y'all what she said, take on Cleveland, what I see happening in terms of he's not their current priority, he's not their future solution. So y'all don't be stressed out if you hear he got waived put on waivers. We just got to see what happened. Whatever God door open next for Shedeur, we're gonna all be right there with him. That's what matters. He did well today. They thought they was gonna work him. He worked them, and he's getting comfortable with the playbook. There's nothing they could throw at him. He's gonna thrive in this toxicity until God opens that door. So I'm gonna see y'all later at 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the members podcast. If you want to join, you like just become a member for a month. It's okay. You might find yourself staying. We have a great podcast community, and we're probably gonna be on there for 2 hours. We were on for 2 hours last time, but we got several topics. Shannon Sharp, Travis Hunter. I don't even want to talk about the Cleveland Browns, but Shedeur Sanders and Coach Prime. So those are our topics from the day. And if y'all have some topics, feel free to bring them. I'll do the suggested topic and give a moment. But we already got an agenda just to give us some structure. So I'll see y'all at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. All right, y'all. I'll see you later. Thank you, Miss Anyway, for joining us today. Thank you for becoming a member. I'll see y'all later. Thanks. Don't forget to hype me up. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.